Hey everyone, Dave from Curtis Crafts, and this week I'm taking a break from making that droid project so that I could build some vertical storage out of some acrylic. Now, I recently got into collecting old Nintendo 64 games. I say old, they still feel kind of not that old to me, even though it was over 20 years ago when I started playing that system. As you can see behind me, this is it. This is my entire space, so storage is super important. And I wanted to get in another acrylic project before I build some other more complicated thing. Once again, I used tap plastics to get all of my acrylic. This is all 1/8 inch, and I had them do all of my cuts for me. Each of these is about 3.5 inches deep in order to sit the cartridges up on their side. Having end labels for these helps you display them like this. I got these off of eBay, but I don't know the link offhand, and since it's eBay, it doesn't necessarily mean that same seller would be selling them in the future anyway, depending on when you're watching this video. If there even is still a YouTube in the future, or if you're watching this video in your historical archives and it's probably titled How 31-Year-Olds in the Olden Days Used to Make Shelving in Order to Store Their Useless Knickknacks. This is a pretty simple process of making 90-degree joints and then using Weld-On 3 to weld each seam together, then holding the two pieces still for a few seconds till it re-solidifies. I chose all my colors for this based on the Nintendo 64 logo, and I wanted it to look kind of like it belonged in a 1990s game store as a regular display. Also, when I picked all of this up, I found some corner brackets that can get welded to this as well so that it will hang on the wall. Once it's fully assembled, I flame polish all of the faced edges with a torch, and that's what makes them look clear and neat again. And after that, it's on to hanging the shelf and then filling it with what few games I have so far. And that wraps up that shelf. I'll have to build another one in the future because I didn't expect to fill it up that fast. And this would normally be the spot where I end the video, but I'm going to come out of left field and add this deleted scene where I build something totally different. If you're watching this in the historical archives of the future in whatever year it happens to be, this part of the DVD would be titled 31-Year-Old in the Olden Days Makes Storage for More Than One Pair of Shoes. And I also have a confession to make in that this project here that you're witnessing now wasn't really worth the amount of money I spent on it. I should have made parts of it out of wood in order to save some money and time. As you can see, I reinforced the translucent shelves with some purple acrylic in order to keep them from warping or bowing down when I put the shoes on them. And I had hoped it would also add to the lighting effect that I add later. The other mistake I'd unfortunately like to admit is that I based this measurement for how wide these shelves are off of an excited, hey, I'm here at the plastic store, I could buy a bit more plastic for my projects if I just knew how wide these shelves were because I didn't measure it already before, and based the entire measurement off of how wide the shoes at the time I was wearing, which was incredibly incorrect based on the fact that not every pair of shoes is the exact same width. So you wind up with a shelf that is too narrow for 3 pairs of shoes, but too wide for 2. But I digress. Please like, comment, and subscribe. But anyway, as you can see, once I have these support pieces lined up and tacked in place, I go back and do a full bead of Weld-On 3 down each edge. And once they've cured, I set them up on top of one of the sides I made earlier, and verify that a shoe at least fits between them, with enough space left over to be able to reach your hand on top and grab them. And once I got my alignment and measured it so that I could mirror it for the other side, I welded it all together. And with that, the main structure was basically done, and all that was left was to flame polish the edges and add the LED assembly. I had some 5-volt blue LED strips left over from my dubstep gun project, and found this small rectangular display case at the plastics store, which I figured would fit the 3 AAA battery assembly and a switch. So I solder everything together and work out a way to mount it in the top of the rack. At this point we reach mistake number 3, where the battery holder and the switch don't fit in the same box, so I had to get some styrene to set it off the side a little bit. And that's right, Dave is not perfect, he just pretends to be on TV so that he will inspire you to have the courage to ruin your own boomboxes one day. With the lights tested and working, it's time to mount the battery and switch assembly into the top of the rack and mount the LEDs to the top shelf. And this cover slips nicely in place to hold the batteries in, and once that's set, it's time to fill it with stuff. And even though this project was riddled with hassles and mistakes, at least it looks cool. And that's all that matters, right? Please like, comment, and subscribe, but no matter what, I'm gonna keep making stuff. And as you can see, I'm still running out of space.